gosh, look at the crowd.
Come this way.
Those who spread goodness radiate happiness to everyone around them. Introducing LOLC Finance Credit Cards. Fuel the goodness in you.
You love the feeling of being renewed. To stay beautiful every single day. To breathe just like we do. Because you are truly delicate. Protecting the ones who've been with us through the years. With Sayalac Care, the only wood coating that truly protects you. Sayalac Wood Coatings from JAT.
Welcome to LMDtv. I'm Fazmina Imamudeen. Tonight with us is Dr. Jehan Perera. Hello, Dr. Perera. I welcome you to the show.
Hi, Fazmina.
What's next for Sri Lanka, Dr. Perera? How do we view the political climate in the country right now?
Well, there are mixed feelings about what's happening. I think among the business sector, there is some positive anticipation that the new president, with his experience and intellectual knowledge, his international connections, will bring about some measure of order and help to resolve these problems. But I think that sector of society is also more insulated from the problems that we are facing. And they are in a position to wait. But I think the general population, the large mass of people, are less hopeful because they see the long lines continuing. The lines seem to have got bigger since the new president came. And the price rises continue. The cost of living is continuing to escalate. And the shelves are bare in the supermarkets or in the markets of the urban areas. And the produce is languishing in the areas where they are being produced, in the agricultural areas, because there is no fuel to bring these things to the urban areas. In addition, there's a certain sense of polarization that's taking place because the government is seeking to re-establish control after the Aragale and after the unrest and the sense of breakdown of law and order. And therefore, government is now picking up individual leaders who were involved in the protest movement, who the masses of people did follow, because those protests we saw in Ballface were not by a small group of leftists or radicals or youth. They were by mainstream people. And I saw during those protests, people going with their young children because they felt so strongly. And also they felt a little bit secure. They felt they could protest, that there was that freedom we had. And I also saw on the sides of the road, people providing them with food and drink. I mean, tables laid on the road, alongside the road. But now the leaders are being picked up. The leaders who the masses of people were willing to follow are being picked up. So I can't imagine that people are very happy about that or feel that that is fair. It is true that they violated the rule of law in a narrow sense. But this was a time of revolt, of revolution almost. In fact, you can say it was a kind of revolution because through peaceful means, largely peaceful means, a president had to flee the country. A prime minister resigned. The cabinet of ministers resigned. So there was a certain break there with the established law and order. And now to target these people seems to be going beyond a bit. It seems to be unfair, and that I think the general population will not be very supportive of that. Though I also grant that there will be sections of our society that say, yes, enough is enough. Now it's time to go back to the way it was, but it's not the way it was, because our incomes have gone down by half, and there are massive lines on the street. So it's not, we can't go back to what was. We have to try and build on what we have at this time. So I'm personally not very happy myself with what has been happening in the last few days since the new president took office.
In the latest edition of LMD, you've called for elections. Now, how practical is this now, given the state of bankruptcy we are in?
Well, I think the most important thing at this time is to restore trust in government. If we don't have a government we trust, then what that government says and does will be viewed in a prejudiced light. And I mean, this government, in a way, the fact that people were willing to go on the streets in large numbers, very large numbers, and that an elected president and an elected prime minister and cabinet all resign, means that there has been a certain break, a rupture. In other words, the mandate of 3 years ago doesn't really exist today. It has been nullified or withdrawn by the people. And also, when you say the cost, I mean, when you talk about the cost, we talk about the cost. Yes, there is no money in the country. Government is printing money to pay the public servants. The government has no money to import fuel and fertilizer. But I would also say that the cost, there will be a cost to an election, but it will be a fraction of the cost of continued instability in our country. We know what it is like to have gone through war for 30 years. The costs of the war, huge costs of the war, which have contributed to the present economic collapse of our country. So I think that the costs of not going for an election, or rather of not having a government we trust. We need to have a government that people trust. And people are not, I mean, not just the business community or not the upper classes who feel comfortable with the present leadership or who feel comfortable with the status quo and would like to go back to what it was before the collapse took place. That's not the only country we have. There's a large mass of people who are suffering, who are angry, and they also need to feel that we have a government we trust. And the way our system is, it comes through elections. So I think that if we are looking simply in terms of costs, the cost of not having an election can be much higher, very much higher than the cost of having an election. The cost of violence, the cost of people rebelling, the cost of people not accepting the decisions of the government, going on strike, for instance, can be much higher. So we need a government that people trust, that they will listen to, and whose decision, because they'll have a lot of hard decisions that have got to be made. People have to be willing to say, yes, this leadership is telling us we have to go through this period for a short time. And of course, the government leadership needs to also inspire people and make them believe that the future will be better. We go through this hard time. The light is there at the end of the tunnel. That's the type of leadership we need at this time.
Now you say we need a government that we can trust. Should elections be called, and in the absence of new people to vote for, wouldn't we like, wouldn't we end up again voting for the same 226?
Well, I think that the protests themselves show, the large scale of the protests show that people want to change. They want this, they wanted the government to change or go. That's why they protested. That's why they went into the president's house and the prime minister's house and major government buildings. They went, they were beaten up. When they went in, the first lot that went in were beaten up very mercilessly, but they still went in. So they, and the reason why the military also did not want to use lethal force at that time under that leadership was because they felt that public sentiment was against them, because behind those people who led the assault on the government buildings, there were tens of thousands of other people behind them also. So now all those people really were there supporting the idea that there should be change of government. So given that, my feeling is that if there are any elections, those who stand for change, those who give a vision of a change and who in their lives have been trustworthy, seen as trustworthy, will have an advantage. The likelihood that they will be elected. Those who stand for change, it can be on either side. I'm not saying it's from one party. But those who will be elected will be those who show that they will be part of the change. Because people want change. There's no question about it. The fact that so many thousands, tens of thousands of people came, walked, sometimes some of the people, because they came, there was no transport. The transport was stopped. Transport was very expensive. People came walking because they wanted to be part of the change. So I believe that if there's an election now, you will not get the 225 who are currently elected. You will get different people. I'm not saying that one party will win and which party will win, but there will be definitely a new set of people who are going to be elected by and large at this time. Now, of course, if this goes on for 2.5 years, then maybe, who knows, then people can redeem themselves, others discredit themselves, and this fighting spirit in the people might, or the desire for change might go. But if you have elections now, I'm confident that the outcome will be very different. We'll have a very different parliament to the one we have today. And I think it will be a good thing to have a new parliament.
On those lines, I'd like to, let's see, how can the constitutional accountability required of the executive and the legislature be strengthened to ensure that people are not motivated to protest again?
Yeah, I think, yes, I think that a problem that we have had in our country for many long years, generations, in fact, has been this issue of accountability. That those who do wrong are not held responsible for the wrongs they do. And that's why our politicians they see leadership as a perk, as a benefit, something to want, because you can enjoy it, not as a responsibility, a great weight on your shoulders. I mean, that's a great responsibility. You're responsible for the lives of people. I know that, I mean, politics is more than, in a way, more than just defeating the other and holding on to power and being very clever to hold on to power and defeat the other. It's more than a game, for instance. I know that, for instance, in business, there are people who, however rich they are, they want to be still richer. They want to make more money. Then they'll destroy other companies, other individuals to become still richer, although they don't have a need for that money. So it is in politics, but I think politics is more than just satisfying yourself. It's about the lives of the people, the millions of people who are suffering, who are looking for leadership, who are looking for a better life, like we are looking for a better life. So I think accountability is very important. That's the notion that has to come into our polity, the notion of a responsibility, that when you take on a position, it's a big burden because you have to deliver. And if you don't deliver, you have to take responsibility. You have to be punished sometimes. And in that respect, I believe that we need better systems of checks and balances. Our institutions need to be, every democratic society over the centuries, societies evolve systems of checks and balances. That power has to be checked. Power which corrupts absolutely. Power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. To check that, human beings came up with systems of the judiciary, of human rights commission, of bribery commissions. And that's in our experience. These need to be independent so that they can act independently. And under the present system, under the present constitution we have, which President J.R. Jayawardena developed, which before him, Mrs. Sitimawa Bandaranaike and Kolminar de Silva, they developed a system where the politician was supreme, because they said politician is elected, politician therefore represents the people's will, and politician should be more powerful than anyone else. And they eroded the systems of checks and balances, the independence of the public service, the independence of the judiciary, all that in 1972 it started. The rot started in 72, when the politician was purposefully in that 72 constitution put above the judiciary and the public service. That was the fatal mistake we made. We had to correct that. And every institution has its own integrity, the judiciary, the police. I know that police, we condemn our police, but I believe that those who join the police join it originally, initially, because they want to serve, they want to do something good for society. But then they become perverted because the politicians corrupt them, and then they also become corrupt. We must so those systems must go. And basically we need systems of checks and balances, independence of those institutions. And that is something that the 19th Amendment and the 17th Amendment that came before tried to do, but it was reversed by the 18th Amendment and the 20th Amendment. So we must go back. We must have those systems of checks and balances in our constitution. And that will help us to become a better society.
Going back to the new 225, you say will be elected if there's an election. Will there be new people from outside the present parliament, or from the present 225, most of whom are shunned by public?
So, I mean, now you get the answer yourself in your last bit of your question. So I believe there will be new people. New people will come, but not all will be new. There are some. There are a lot of, I believe there are lot of MPs in our parliament who are honorable people, who want to do something that is good, who are intelligent, who have had a lot of experience, and they will be re-elected. But there are a lot of people who are also very corrupt, extremely corrupt. The corruption has got built into this system. I think in this parliament, that is the situation, and that has to go. That has to go, and I'm hopeful that our new president, he comes from a different party. He comes from a party with just one person in that parliament. He comes with a lot of experience. I'm hopeful that with his experience, his intelligence, he will do something. I don't know whether he will, but maybe we have to give him time. So far, the track record is not good. What he did as soon as he came was not good. To launch, I mean, I don't know whether it was he who gave the order, but whoever, they went and attacked those protesters, those people protesting there. Those are young people. They believe they're trying to do something for our country. They have sacrificed so much for 100 days to stay in such a place in the Gulf face, just staying in their homes. Always at risk, so vulnerable to being picked up and taken away as they are now being. We must support them. I feel very strongly about this, that they are being targeted now. For what they did, they gave a moment of hope to our country, that there could be change, that the people could change, the leaders who had lost, who ought to have resigned in any other country, leaders who wrecked the economy, who wrecked our agriculture, who brought our currency down by 100%, would have resigned. These ones didn't. And those young people led the way. I know that they are young people, and they go too much. Some of them have ideologies. They must not be hunted like this. They must be negotiated with. We must talk to them. And they are the ones, in a way, who are responsible for our present president to come to power with his one seat. He had one seat in parliament. He had been rejected by the people. He became president because of these young people. He must keep that in mind. I would hope he would. Because he is our hope now. He is our president. Very powerful. A lot of experience.
The attacks on the protesters at Gulf faced by the forces has been justified by the administration on the basis that the Aragalaya has been infiltrated by violent or extremist groups. Now, how would you respond to this assertion, Dr. Perera?
That would always happen if there is a situation of instability and violence. Violent people will come in, and those with political agendas will come in. There is no question about that. In a way, it's the fault of the establishment. The establishment must react quickly and fairly to them. The way it is creating more hate. It is creating by intimidating, by arresting them in this very unnecessary way on board planes. They are being arrested on planes, aeroplanes. They are being arrested. Now I believe that Father Jehan Perera, who has been there, who was there almost every day. He's now, that's what I read, that he's to be arrested on sight. I don't know why. If you treat people like that, the hatred grows and they will go underground. The logic then becomes one of escalation. And when there's escalation, then the only answer, when there is escalation, when they go underground, when there is hatred, then the logic is to use force, repression. We have seen what that does. We saw what that did with our Tamil people. Instead of addressing their grievances through political means, our leaders arrogantly thought they can suppress them with military force. And then we went into 30 years of war. And arrogantly, they eliminated them. But the problem has not gone. The problem is with us. The international problem is with us. It has created another whole dynamic. The Tamil people are not happy. Our minorities are not happy in our country. And our state considers minorities to be like enemies. That's why we have a humongous army, a huge army after the war, consuming 15% of the national budget. An army that is 3 times bigger than the British army, which is facing Russians and all that. The British army is 3 times smaller than ours. Britain has a population 3 times bigger than ours. Now, what is this army for? Not to fight India. It's for our own people. So I think that we have to think differently. And if we go in, considering these people to be security threats, whether it's the Aragalaya or our minorities, we are not going to be able to develop our country. We are not be able to get the support of the international community. We need it very badly now, the support of the international, because we have no dollars in our country. Our economy has no dollars in it. We need international goodwill. And the international community, the ones who give aid also, they admire those countries that follow democratic norms. In a way, our country got a lot of positive publicity, in a way, because of the Aragalaya, the people's movement, a non-violent people's movement that got a president to resign, got a prime minister to resign, got cabinet minister. We got a lot of good publicity for that. But now, that's not enough. That's a just negative thing to get rid of people. We have to come up with the positive answer. What's going to replace those leaders? And how are we going to resolve our problems? So that challenge we have not taken up very well at this time.
Another key demand by the protesters and the public is to recover allegedly ill-gotten state funds that have been supposedly been invested overseas. Now, can Sri Lanka request the assistance of international organizations to assist in this endeavor? And who should initiate such a process?
I mean, I have not really gone into this in any real depth, but my just reading or general reading of it is that it's very difficult. It'll be very difficult to get that money back. But our country must make a good faith attempt to get it back. Because we know that a lot of money has been taken out of our country. We know that our politicians have been called very corrupt and various names are given to them. And some decisions can only be understood in terms of corrupt practices. So we must I think our government must make a good faith attempt to get it back. At the same time, we must also challenge the international system that permits such things to happen. There's now these Swiss bank accounts where people can go and invest, put their money, their ill-gotten wealth, and hide it there. We should challenge. We should challenge. Because we have suffered so much from all of this. Our country can take the lead for the world in challenging, but of course, then we have to be clean ourselves. We must have a clean government ourselves to both get international support to get back the money that has been stolen, and also to be able to argue with the international community, those countries that permit and encourage such ill-gotten wealth to be hidden in their countries. We must challenge that. We must take, but we can try but we have to then set a high moral ground for ourselves also.
What are your expectations of the forthcoming interim budget in the context of protecting vulnerable people?
I know we all talk about this. I mean, but in a way, sometimes I think it's almost like lip service. We know that we should say that the poor should be protected. But if the poor are to be protected, it's a limited pie we have at the moment. Ideally, of course, we look for win-win solutions where the pie increases, where we don't have to think of a pie of limited size and then divide it. But I think at the moment, that's what we have. We must try and go toward the system where it increases for everyone, but at this time it's not. That means we have to also pay more taxes. The rich have to pay more taxes. The better off must pay, have to pay. That means the better off people will become worse off. But for the sake of those who are very badly off, I mean, these are not easy things to do for governments. No one likes to be taxed more. We are all finding it difficult to live. No? We all at our levels, we are all, finding it difficult. for ourselves. So, but I believe that taxation has to go up, tax rates have to go up. In European countries, the tax rates are phenomenally high in some of them, in countries like Sweden and Norway, which have a great deal of social equality, egalitarian societies, high tax rates. And then, of course, there are a lot of other things. For instance, I believe that the government service has to be streamlined, has to be reduced. Loss-making corporations have to be maybe closed down. A lot of people are going to be unemployed. Then they have to be paid for. Then they have to be looked after. And that looking after will have to come from increased taxes on those who are fortunate enough to have jobs and who have to then share what they have with those who don't have. So for all this, these are all difficult things. I'm not saying these are easy at all. But for that, we have to have a government that people trust and people look up to. Moral leadership we need. And I think we can have that. We can have that. There are people in our country, I think, who can take up that challenge.
What can the National Peace Council do in collaboration with the international community to foster national reconciliation?
Well, the National Peace Council, the organization I've been working with, what we try to do is we try to build bridges between the communities, because we think Sri Lanka is a multi-ethnic, multi-religious, rural society. We are different, we think differently, and we prefer often to live in our own communities, in our own silos, not engaging with the other socially, politically. So we try and bring platforms where people actually come together and get to know each other. We build social cohesion. Then they solve problems also together so that the conflicts don't grow. But our main task is to talk about the fact that we need to have a system where our people decide together in an ethnically divided society where there are ethnic communities. The majority group can't decide on behalf of the smaller groups unilaterally. Democracy is about majority group. It's about the majority making the decision finally. Even in a company, even a board, finally, if we can't decide, we go by majority group, the vote. But I believe in a society where there are different communities living together, different nations, we could call our communities nations, different nations living together. One nation, just because it's larger in numbers, should not be able to impose on the others. We have to come up with a system of power sharing, inter-ethnic power sharing, where we decide together. We don't decide just by majority. We have to decide together. We have to come up with such a system. So that's what my organization tries to promote, that idea. And we get international support for that. The international community supports us in that. But I mean, they support us to bring our people together. And to the extent that that happens in our country, I think the international community also will be more forthcoming in supporting us. I mean, some aid programs are very specifically conditioned on human rights. The EU's GSP Plus, for instance, it's conditioned on us following 27 international human rights covenants. Yeah, so I think that's how we can help. We help by, in a way, by bringing our people together and creating a united nation. Because if our people are divided, if we are a family divided, then we will not succeed. We have to find a way to make our diversity and our differences something positive. And it should be, because different communities have different strengths, have different international linkages. You must bring them all to bear for the good of the whole.
Your insights, Dr. Perera, are greatly appreciated, and you've taken your time to provide views on the importance of taking prompt political action, the importance of the importance of peace and the role of justice at this time of uncertainty and strife.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk to you and to those who listen to your program.
Thank you very much, sir.
Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Thank you for watching and stay safe.